Don't hurt me.
happening and it freaks me out.
Oh, it's stone gas, man.
Hello, we are live with episode 23 of Region Free. I am your host and moderator, Pizzell. I hope everyone watching tonight is doing well. Let me plug our Patreon, and then we'll get the ball rolling here. Follow the link in the description and check out our Patreon for hours of exclusive content. If you want to support the show a little bit more, you can do that over on Patreon. But let's get right into it tonight. Joining me, we have got Christian Hanna.
Oh wow, first again.
Keeping you on your toes.
Yeah. What's going on, brother?
Not too much. How you, man?
Good. Doing good. I always chuckle at your in the video when you do the whenever it gets done, I picture you looking, whoever was filming, going, "Hey, was that okay? Did that work? Did you like that?"
No, I just knew it worked. I'm that good.
Fair enough.
Said just one take. I turned around. I said, "Cut it," and it was done. I knew it was. I didn't even look back over it. I knew It was gold. I just knew it was gold. That's my ABC TGIF lineup opening. You know. That was like the opening for all of those shows. Like the characters would go.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
They're like catching a soccer ball. You know.
The legend is that you don't even edit your YouTube videos when they hit. That's when you hit a red button. Somehow you make all that happen in real time.
That's pretty true, actually. That's pretty true. So I won't. You know, I'm that good. But enough about how good I am. Let's move on. Also joining me tonight.
Hey, hey guys. Not too much. Just still hot. Still waiting for the fall weather here, and excited for the show tonight. And yeah. Definitely. And your opening does always get me too, because I just immediately go back to like watching like 80s sitcoms and stuff. It's amazing.
I always told Piz if I meet him, he better see me. Yes. He better do that. And I know what'll happen. He'll look at me and say, "Christian who?" That's what's gonna.
That's how I greet everyone. It's just like, and most people go, "There's something not right about it." It's a good way to keep people away from you, to just turn and go.
Go, oh hey.
Yeah.
They just kind of slowly walk away. But good to see you. Good to see you, Susan.
Good to see you too.
Also joining me tonight from Flesh Wound Features, Dan. What's up?
What's up? I want us all to have a sitcom opening now.
Yes.
I gotta write a sitcom theme.
What they need
Oh,
to
that
be
would be
like.
so funny.
They need to be like, like we're doing, like we're cutting a body part off of somebody, and like you turn and go,
Yes.
you got like blood all over
you. Like we're all serial killers, and we're all doing it in a different way.
Black and white. Yeah. Leave It to Beaver with chainsaws, basically.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
like you're eating somebody's flesh off their arm. You're like, you got blood all- These things write themselves. You know? So,
Coming soon.
coming soon to a future Region Free episode. But good to see you, Dan.
Good to see you too, Piz.
Are you in a different room now? I know you've got the different angle. Are you in a different room?
I'm in my library. It's a different room, but same location. Yeah. Figured I had a little more room here. It's what you're used to is kind of a box, so room to stretch out, more comfortable.
I like all the 8x10s back there.
Oh yeah, that's just
I see
one
Felissa,
wall.
I see Kane, I see Bruce Campbell, I see the dude from Scanners. Oh, you've got
Is that subspecies?
the subspecies guy, yes.
And
Anders
Anders Hove.
Anders Hove, yes.
Trying to think who else I have on that wall. Timothy Balmy from Dead Alive.
You've got Claudio Simonetti back there.
I have him on a Demons poster.
Or not Claudio Simonetti, the dude that gets
Giovanni Lombardo.
Giovanni Lombardi
down there.
Radice, yes.
Yes. I know him a little bit, and I have some funny stories, but he's a cool guy.
Very cool.
Yeah, Warlock. I guess I have one wall. Everything's kind of separated in here. There's like a Scream Queen wall. Then you can't see it, but I'm basically like in a literal library. I have rows now because I don't have space for everything. So it's not really a house so much as a library at this point.
That's
Library of Congress.
That's very cool, man. Very cool. All right, also joining us tonight, making her second straight appearance on Region Free from the Sheebie Jeebies channel. Also, now the former co-host of Visited by Voices, because that contract went through. Sam, how's it going?
Hey, Piz. Thank you for letting me come back on the Island of Misfit Podcasters. Also,
You're very welcome.
so can you make the face that you did in the opening again, the one that you greet people with?
Sure, hold on.
So, a friend of mine sent me a link. You can get anybody's picture on a pillow. That's the face that I want on a pillow. I don't know what I would do with it.
Oh, I know what you do with it.
You could get one of those. It's got like you rub it one way and it disappears, and then you rub it the other way and it appears.
Yes.
Oh my god,
There
that
you
would
go.
be amazing.
Or
Also,
you could
I'm
like-
really on board for the sitcom idea. Can I be like the Cousin Oliver of Region Free?
Sure.
Sometimes I'm here, sometimes I'm not.
If you want that albatross on you, sure.
Why not? Somebody's got to take the burden.
Who's the Family Matters daughter that goes upstairs and just never comes back? That's what we have to decide.
Yeah. That's I want to rip off the theme, because in my mind, the theme that we're talking about, it's got to sound happy and loving and just,
Yeah, I hear it in my head. I hear it's just so happy and upbeat, and we've got to have like the canned laughter too.
But see,
Yes.
Piz, you would seem like the Daddy Winslow of the thing. So to me, you got to be correcting somebody, and then you got to give like the head nod, like
That's it.
that's you. I got to be the little sucker that's up to no good.
I think
You ate the last slice.
Yeah.
I think Piz being Carl Winslow would not be the best idea at this particular moment, but
Carl Pislow?
Carl Pislow, holy shit.
It's writing it, dude. This is writing itself.
I know.
Well, I mean, that's such a great idea. And now let me introduce the Steve Urkel of Region Free. Lauren, how are you? And you're muted.
That's the only way this starts. So I love the fact that you say that you sent it, that you just recorded in one take your intro. You didn't really send me an hour and a half of footage that I had to whittle down into 4 seconds, and then apply filters. I appreciate you looking at my work in such a delicate manner.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
I can make those outtakes available if you'd like.
some of them are fine. The ones where I'm like cussing and throwing things. And
I was thinking about the one where your belt failed.
Where I what?
Where your belt failed.
Oh, now that one would be funny.
Yeah.
That one would be funny. That's the one that got me arrested.
That's not the one. It was the one after that got you arrested. That started the police showing up.
That started it. That was the first phone call to 911.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Am I hearing that you guys think we should have a different intro? To be continued.
I said nothing.
Let me do some shout outs here. We've got Selmer Slasher in the chat, Scatterbrain, Oracle, Cable Channel 11. Jess, how's it going, man? We've got Richard Skarinki, The Daily Ghost, my buddy Keith, Captain Halloween, Joe Bob Tarhill. Joe Bob, how are you? Ross Jordan, Dave Vanderhoff, what's up? Grunger, hello Grunger, Entertainment Wizard. Chris from Germany. Chris, what's up, man? How are you doing? Laundry Arts. How are you, Laundry Arts? And Holiday Styles. Hope everybody is having a great Thursday. So, well, let's go ahead and dive into some topics here. A movie that actually, no. Let's talk about the death of Norm Macdonald, which came as a surprise, I think, to everyone. I heard somebody on Twitter, I don't remember who it was, said Norm Macdonald not telling us he had cancer for 10 years and then dying of cancer is the most Norm thing he could have done. So no, like apparently nobody. I don't know. I'm assuming maybe friends knew, close friends knew, but and he was still really active during those years, showing up on talk shows and doing this and that. And I think he was still doing stand-up also. But Norm to me was always a very unique and especially funny comic. He tackled comedy a completely different way than anybody else. It wasn't set up, punchline. There kind of was no punchline to a lot of Norm stuff. And that's what made him special. So yeah, for me, he was always one of the highlights of SNL back in the 90s. His stand-up stuff was great. I even loved Dirty Work.
It's great. It's an amazing film.
Screwed has its moments. Imagine me walking into the video store and going, have you got Screwed? and like the girl behind the counter going, you know,
behind the saloon doors, sir.
Yeah, behind the beaded curtain there, sir. you sick freak. But yeah, he was one of a kind and really shocking death, and it sucks that he's no longer with us. He actually seemed like one of the a sane voice in this crazy timeline that we're all in. So any memories or thoughts on any memories of Norm or thoughts on Norm or anything like that?
He was the last of a certain class, I think, of comedian, or one of the last. You can write funny stuff, and you know anybody can do that, really. But the delivery, he was truly hilarious. And Saturday Night Live, I think that was that last group that really could make your side hurt when you watched it. I don't
Yeah.
think it's ever been the same since his kind of era of the show. And you mentioned Dirty Work. I think that movie's hilarious. I mean, in addition to Norm, you had Don Rickles, you had Artie Lang, you had Chevy Chase.
Chevy
I mean,
Chase.
a
Yes.
who's who of comedy in that movie. I love that movie, and I know it wasn't a huge hit, but I remember seeing that in the theater, that opening where everybody, he just is passing everybody in the neighborhood wearing his shit that his girlfriend was throwing out the window. Artie mooning the people in line for the movie and the car breaking down. Oh my God. That movie is hilarious. And he seemed like a really nice guy too. I never heard anything bad about him. Nobody, saying that he was an asshole or anything. He even got along with Chevy Chase, who
I know
is kind of an a-hole.
Y'all leave Chevy alone. Y'all know I love Chevy.
Chevy is an admitted asshole. He's admitted that he was very bad over the years. But one thing that a lot of people may not know about Norm, the guy was super fun, was super smart. I don't know if anybody saw him on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. There was like a celebrity who wants to be a millionaire, and he made it a big joke because like he knew everything, and he even talked him. He was like he got to the $1 million question. He was like, "I'll just bow out," but the answer is this, and that was the right answer. So I mean, he knew the right answer. He's like, "I'll just stop here."
He was a comedian's comedian. You look at guys like Jim Carrey and others, like they bow down to Norm. Like he was just so good. David Letterman loved Norm Macdonald.
Yeah.
I cried on the last episode of David Letterman when Norm started tearing up. It was because I grew up with David, so that was a important night for me too. One of my favorite jokes Norm ever said. It's so simple, but his delivery. He goes, they say gambling's a disease, but it's the only disease where you can win a bunch of money.
I love that one. He's kind of like one of those last bastions of irreverency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't come to appreciate Norm until maybe a few years ago because I grew up watching SNL. Of course, I knew of him and saw him in plenty of skits. But I didn't have a good appreciation for him until a few years back when I saw him on The View from back in around 2000, I think, where he's got the cell phone in his pocket, and it starts going off in the middle of it, and he's just destroying the entire segment. He doesn't give a fuck. It's amazing. And I always really like the one where he's on Conan O'Brien and he's sitting there with Courtney Thorne-Smith. And she's trying to talk about her movie with Carrot Top. Oh, I don't even remember the name of that movie now.
Chairman of the board.
Thank you.
I was thinking of it too. Yeah.
Yeah, but he just didn't. He was just gonna go do Norm things. And I really appreciated that about him, and it really sucks that we lost him. But he gave us a lot.
There was a great story. I forget who shared it, but so Norm was on. He did Weekend Updates, and like every week, he just destroyed O.J. Simpson.
Yes.
Well, the head of NBC was O.J. Simpson's best friend. So the head of NBC had Norm fired, saying that he's just not funny. The reason that Norm was fired was quote unquote, "You're not funny." So they had him come back and host the show years later after this guy was gone. So Norm was going, "Well, wait a minute. I wasn't funny then. It's not like I've gotten funnier. So you want me back? Now you're saying I'm funny. Then you said I wasn't funny, but now you're saying I am funny." So he had a plan to do the opening monologue, make a complete joke out of it, and then leave the building, go to a bar, and watch the rest of the show from the bar and watch them just completely, because he's in every skit as the host. Now he's gone. That was his plan, to just watch the show implode live from a bar, and somebody had to talk him out of it. But I wish to God he would have done that. It probably would have ended his career, but what a way to go. What a way to go out.
I'll tell you a must for Norm, a skit that blew my mind that he actually participated in it, was with Sylvester Stallone, and Norm is just like hammering him about the bad movies he did. Like, who would have thought, $30 million arm wrestling child custody movie would be a bad idea? Sort of stuff. Just Google Norm Stallone skit. If you haven't seen that, it is hilarious. And another thing, he had his own sitcom called Norm for like 3 seasons, I believe, and it's actually really good too. I would imagine you can see that online somewhere.
It's on YouTube. Most of it's on YouTube. And
okay,
he's right. It's a very clever show. It got screwed on when it was coming on, because back in the 90s, you had to have good, timing for your television.
Yeah.
He did not get Prime. He was screwed from the get-go, but the show was so funny. Yeah, I think Shout Factory has put out the seasons. I own the show from, I believe it's Shout Factory.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so funny. Aunt Jackie, I forget the actress's name from Roseanne.
Yeah.
Lori is one of the most underrated funny people ever too, and she is just lovely in that show with Norm. Great little show. I wish it would have kept going, but there's something nice about it being a short-lived show too. It definitely got its cult following.
Artie Lang and the dad from Alf. I remember the episode where he kept sending him subscriptions to Prison Bitch magazine to his house. And man, sitcoms are not particularly funny anymore. That was one of the last ones that I saw that, again, would legitimately make your sides hurt. So he's going to be missed. I was so sad. Yeah.
It really hurt, man. It really hurt. I love Norm. I mean, Rodney Dangerfield's my favorite stand-up guy, and then it's Norm. It's just Norm, and it's after that I could care less. Man, Norm was just so smart, but he always had a little bit of positivity at the end of his stuff, which why I really loved him. Oh yeah, I know what Big Crack Rock's talking about too, man. If you can YouTube compilation all the funny stuff and the trolling he did on Conan's show when he would have other guests sit on the couch. I mean, he would just destroy people. He was people couldn't keep up with him. He was so smart. Very sad. Very sad.
Yeah. He will definitely be missed. No doubt about that. So RIP Norm Macdonald. Where'd Sam go?
Oh.
Where is she?
Sam, come back.
Maybe someone check the ankle bracelet for a location.
I hope she didn't try to remove that thing.
Check the low jack on her.
She'll be right back. She just is trying to fix the audio.
Okay, cool. Well, let's talk about some news. This was a news article or a piece of news that broke actually last week when we didn't have a show, and it's a movie that I know Lauren just cannot talk enough about.
Jesus Christ, don't do
it. Halloween Kills is going day and date now. It's going to theaters and it's premiering on the Peacock network on the same day, October 15th. And a lot of talk. A lot of people are upset that this is happening. A lot of people are happy that this is happening. How do you guys and gals interpret this? Because Bloom was very hardcore about this movie getting a theatrical release, and now less than a month before its release, is he throwing in the towel? Are they throwing in the towel? Are they trying to hedge their bets? What say you?
I don't think it bodes well.
You don't think it bodes well?
Well, I mean, the second I heard it was going to be on streaming same day as the theatrical release, I was like, oh, that's not good. I mean, we've been hyping this up, and, we had this whole showdown between Halloween Kills and Carnage. And then, I think Carnage was the one that moved, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So,
but it moved up though.
Okay, earlier in the month.
It moved forward a week, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I heard that and I was like, okay, cool. Sounds like Halloween Kills is ready to go and dominate the box office. Oh no, it's not. I mean, it probably still will, but I just, I'm really skeptical of it, and I think the fact that it's going to be on Peacock is like, that's the best y'all could do.
Well, it's owned by Universal, isn't it? It's like an NBC it's an NBC thing, right? So it's owned by Universal.
Umbrella.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
I think there's money behind the reasoning, period. Like point blank, period. Follow the money. There's some kind of deal. There's some kind of money situation, agreement, contract going on. Maybe they were too afraid that it wouldn't do as well as they thought if it was solely in theaters. So people negotiated for different money if they did streaming as well. I don't know, but I feel like follow the money and that'll be the true answer.
I feel like someone just realized that 3 days before their announcement, a major piracy site announced they'd have it on October 1st.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I didn't hear that.
I won't say.
Hear that.
I'll share privately, not in a group setting like this, what that site is with anyone who's interested. But
Man.
yeah, it looks like it's game over, basically. So,
so you think that's the main reason why they're doing the day and date?
well, also I think they're going day and date simply because also, I don't know if you guys saw the Variety review or the Time Out review or any of the dozen other mainstream reviews that completely trashed it this week. There was a lot of bad news that came for this movie this week. And again, horror fans are probably going to have a different opinion than the mainstream, but if they want to do the Halloween 2018 numbers, they have to have the mainstream. Right. They have to have the normies to do those numbers. And I think they just realized that those numbers are now out of their reach. So from a corporate standpoint, if they can get subscriptions on the back of it from the hardcore fans, that's probably more valuable, because if they can hook people and keep them, that's probably the best bang for their buck with this thing at this point. Also, it's not a terribly expensive movie. They can make this move. But I think they were really hoping for that $180 million box office again that they got a couple years back. Once they realized it wasn't going to happen. And you got to realize, too, they'll do okay on Halloween night itself with this movie.
Right.
They'll do okay for the weekend it comes out. But especially day and date, there's zero chance its second week does shit.
When I read the headline from whatever the outlet was that called it like a mediocre slasher or whatever, I was like, cool, great, awesome. That sounds good to me. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Because I mean, I was not a huge fan of Halloween 2018 that the critics licked up and down. So if the critics are not liking kills, hell yeah, that sounds good to me.
I think, though, the reason that there was a prejudice against this one has a lot more to do with the sidelining of Jamie Lee Curtis, which is what they revolved their love of the last one about. And, there's 12 minutes of footage of her in this film about, so different world. And that's another problem they're going to have. Like, they don't have their marquee star to hold this thing up, because word is going to get out very quickly that she is not the lead and not even the second lead of the film. Right. That's going to be a problem for them.
Yeah.
Funny story real quick. I went to last weekend, we went to one of the really big cities near us, and this guy saw my Halloween 3 shirt I was wearing, and he goes, "Oh dude, I just talked to a guy who was at some premiere, I forgot where it was, somewhere," and he begins to just tell me the entire plot of the movie. He told me the whole thing, and I was just like, well, okay, there goes that. And it was way too specific to be made up, and the stuff he was saying about Kyle Richards and the other, I was like, well, hell, I didn't even ask this guy to tell me this, but he straight up told me everything.
Just assaulted you with spoilers.
It is what it is. The big, like I said on Piz's Patreon stream, the biggest spoiler is there's already another one. So, but I'm happy about this. I don't care about the money because it doesn't do anything to me personally. Now there are people that can't go to the theater that are high risk still for getting sick and stuff. They can watch it, and that is awesome.
That's me.
So, there you go. God bless you, Susan. I want you to be able to see the movie the very first chance you can. I'm happy. Doesn't bother me at all. So I don't care if people want to go to the theater, see it, or watch it on Peacock. They can do as they want.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's their reasoning as well, is they're going to pick up so many subscribers, even if it's just by default and the fact that people forget to cancel. that sort of thing. I mean, seriously,
That's
let's
true.
come on.
That's
How many
true.
people? I had a Hulu subscription that I thought I paused. I never paused it. I thought I didn't have it anymore. And then I'm like, wait, I do. I've been paying for it for, a year and a half. So they'll get a lot of people from that as well. They're going to go in hard for the Halloween fan base because it's a big number and they know they're going to get a bunch of new subscriptions from it. So yeah, sure, that definitely factors into it. And I know there aren't many people like me. Like I know I've said it like a revolving record, but I feel like I need to put my reasoning out there that I cannot get the, this business because I have almost died twice from previous this businesses with reactions. So I am like a prisoner in my own home. I'm a captive audience. I was like, okay, I'm not going to get to see it for 4 months, whatever. That's
and
like,
now you get to see it.
And now I can, and I'm super, super excited. I literally teared up when I found out. I know that I'm in a very, very small minority, and if I wasn't in my position, maybe I would be like more upset, about that. But I stand by my opinion that I don't think theaters are going to die. I really don't. I think that people want that experience. They want the theatrical experience in the long run. And even if it might take a little bit, they're going to come back. I'm going to come back, even though I'm petrified and I can't do anything right now. As soon as I can, I'll be out there, So that's what I at least hope is the situation.
Yeah.
I'm curious to ask all of you that have been back to the theater, will you see it for the first time at the theater, or is Temptation going to get to you and you're going to watch it right when it goes up on Peacock? I guess like midnight Thursday, or I'm not sure the exact.
These different streaming services, they do these weird rollouts. They don't do them at midnight. We do it at 4 p.m. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or like we'll do it at 6 a.m. Like they do weird.
Yeah,
rollouts.
or 4 a.m. Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, I don't understand those rollout times. But I mean, that's a good question. I've asked Jeremy. Jeremy wants the theater experience. He's dead set on the theater experience. So we'll
first time
take that boy to the theater.
We'll see the theater. We'll go to the theater.
Yeah, Piz, I'll say this. I'm sure Dan can back me up on this. Peacock is a big growing streaming service. This is what I think happened. A lot of people had Netflix for The Office. The Office craze in the last 3 or 4 years was insane. Well, what happens? Netflix loses The Office, Peacock comes out, and the initial thing was it was going to be a streaming service just for The Office. Well, eventually you find out that's Peacock. I actually think that the Office love fandom might have started to wear off a little bit by that point, and maybe they weren't getting in the numbers that they wanted from having The Office. Could be wrong. I don't know. I don't have the logistics for that. But not long after that, they acquired WWE Network. Now, in America, I think that's well over 1 million subscribers. So then they paid Vince McMahon a lot of money, but then, I would say they inherited 70 to 80, maybe even higher than that. I would say safely 70% of the WWE Network US people, because it was actually cheaper to get Peacock and have the WWE Network. So Peacock is growing. I mean, they're becoming a really big streaming platform. So I actually don't think them getting Halloween Kills is bad at all. I mean, it certainly won't hurt the streaming service whatsoever. And I'm not anti-streaming, so it really, I'll probably see it. I know I'm going to take my mom to see Halloween Kills in the theater, but it'll be cool to actually save myself a little bit of money to watch it, 7 times in 2 weeks, at home on Peacock. So I got no problems with any of this. I really don't. I was at first, but I've really gotten over it. I'm really cool, and I'm glad people like Susan can see it second it comes out.
I don't really want to talk about Halloween Kills a moment more than I have to, so I'm just going to say this. Everyone, if you do go to it, please, please, please buy something at the concession stands, because theaters are in bad trouble because they don't make jack on first weekend ticket sales. They don't. I mean, it's like 85% of the ticket goes back to the distributor. Okay? So 15%. So if you're paying $10, you got to realize that they're making $1.50 off you, right? So if you don't buy something at a concession stand, you're not doing anything to keep that theater alive. You just aren't. So please understand, if you love your theaters, you need to support them where it matters. And I know it sucks buying that $7, $8 large Coke or whatever, but to be honest with you, concessions will either save theaters or they will kill these chains. A lot of these chains are in deep debt right now. They just went a year and a half of a business model that was so contrary to what kept them in business. They survive on volume. They didn't have that for the last year and a half.
Well, and keep in mind too, that $7 Coke is like 2 gallons.
It is. It's actually not as bad a deal as it used to be.
That thing should last you. That thing should last you a while. Don't get ice in it. Iceless. 2 gallons of pure Coke.
Fill it when you leave. Yeah.
Coca-Cola.
Piz, do we all know somebody that wore the cargo pants to the movie theater and they just stuffed?
Hell yeah.
I never understood that. I'm always like, the fun is like getting the freshly made popcorn and the big ass icy fountain drink, which is better than anything. When I had friends who would sneak stuff in, I'm like, are you stupid? Like, this is where it's at right now. This is why we're here, for the whole experience. Like, I'm the one, my boyfriend and I have like the big boxes of all the stuff. We just spent $77 at the concession stand because we want to experience it.
Susan, I can imagine if you go to Piz's neck of the wood, or even mine in Louisiana, in a Kentucky or Louisiana movie theater, you see some dude walk in with coveralls or he's got his cargo pants. You sit down and you say, "Is that pulled pork?" I
went to the movies one
Somebody
time.
brought pulled pork and some foil.
This woman had one of those big puffer jackets.
Corn on the cob? What?
You guys all know the puffer jackets, right?
Yes.
She had on a big puffer jacket. I had no idea what all she had under that puffer jacket. She goes in and sits down. She literally opens that thing up. She pulls out like a whole bag of chips. She pulls out like, she's got like 2 32-ounce pops in there. She's got candy. It's like a joke all of a sudden. It's like the clowns coming out of the tiny clown car. She just keeps pulling crap out of her puffer jacket,
Be honest, Piz. How often have you smuggled in some? I can see, Piz. This is you in the movie theater. You pull out your Coke and you go.
That was my dad. My dad would wait for an explosion and he'd pop his soda. Just he'd wait, literally, just boom.
No.
And I hate it because I do buy concessions every
You
time.
better stop doing that, dudes. I know how you roll.
I used to, not gonna lie, we would stop at like a Rite Aid near the theater and get all the candy. Get the candy, get the drink, stuff them in your pockets, and you just go in there and you go for it. I mean, we smuggled beer in to watch Valentine back in the day. There was we were the only people in the theater, and one of my buddies was like, "I'm gonna go get some beers out of the car," and I was like, "Hell yeah!" So we're sitting in the theater drinking beers, watching Valentine. The only people in the theater.
I love it.
Yeah. Let me give a shout out here real quick. Thank you, the Daily Ghost, for the $10 super chats. Killing idiots on Halloween. Check all. He's gonna. I think he kills about 100 idiots on that night. He's
like
got a
the
big
population
body
of Connecticut. He kills. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Didn't they say it will be more kills in Halloween Kills than in the entire rest of the franchise combined? I thought that's what I heard. That there were more.
There's a lot. I think that's an exaggeration.
Oh, is it?
But I'll tell you, there are more people who die that Michael Myers doesn't kill.
let's not go there. But I think literally at the end of the movie, you see a guy walk in front of the sign, mark out the population sign, and put like 250. Like the number, he marks it out and just puts 250. That's how the movie ends. Big body.
Dave, I would love to not talk spoilers. I'd love to not talk Halloween Kills.
But thank you, Daily Ghost. Appreciate that, man. Very kind of you. Well, and I don't think the fact that there's a lot of kills in the movie a spoiler. If you've seen the trailers, you've seen 20 kills at least, something like that. So I mean,
the title might have been a spoiler on that.
Possibly.
I heard he makes a bunch of people watch like a commercial in the film, and that's why there's a big. But never mind.
That is way more creative than anything you're going to see on that screen. I promise you.
He makes them all watch commercial in the film, and that's how they have a really big
giveaway.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. That would be a good way to kill somebody. He sits them down in front of the TV. the jingle comes on and their head just explodes. That'd be great.
The irony is he looks on the back of his mask and there's a tag. Oh shit!
Oh. and then he turns
This
around.
was a bad idea.
And now it all ties in together. Now
Yes.
Halloween 3 finally ties in.
He turns around and there stands Colonel Cochran. And then he
Colonel Cochran is the real Man in Black.
Yes, then he reveals the mark of thorn on his wrist. We tie it all in.
And Danielle Harris comes out and slaps a producer.
Buddy Kupfer has to be in here somewhere.
It just becomes the biggest fan service wonk ever.
She kills Colonel Cochran with her emancipation papers.
Awesome.
Chokes him to death with those emancipation papers. Yes.
Yeah. While Rick Rosenthal shoots with a home video camera.
While Busta Rhymes, does the robot in the background.
Listen, I'm 100% honestly for Busta Rhymes coming back if it stops this nonsense.
Bring him back. Bring him back.
Just let him say one line, and you know what line I'm saying.
Have him and LL Cool J come back in their respective roles.
Oh yeah.
LL Cool J, come on,
I like that.
LL Cool J's here.
Hell, I want that.
I love LL Cool J.
I want that movie without Michael Myers. Just the two of them just hanging out in a bar.
That's your new
Creating
buddy
war
cop movie
stories.
right there.
Yeah, they're both all fucked up from the previous movies.
I mean, at least, what if I wish LL almost would have been in Resurrection? That way, at the end of the movie, it would have been, "My mama said, knock you out."
Yes.
Radio.
We got to stop this. We're writing the next trilogy.
And doing a better job than the current one.
I'm gonna knock you out.
They run into each other at a bar. Hey, oh my God, remember that time Michael Myers tried to kill us? Yeah, okay.
And Coolio shows up and he's like, "Yeah, if they had just made one more."
Coolio.
Or no, Coolio could be like, "Hey, I was in Dracula 3000."
Better film than Resurrection.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on from Halloween Kills Day and Date. It's happening, whether you like it or not. I don't know. We'll see. I still think it's going to do pretty well at the box office. I think Peacock numbers will increase, but I think that the Pirates will have an absolute field day. So I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. Have you guys seen any good movies lately? I know Malignant was a big release that came out recently. Has everybody seen Malignant?
I have.
Mm-hmm.
I saw like less than half of it. I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah.
Laundry Art, thank you for the $50 super chat, sir. Very, very kind of you.
Jesus.
Thank
Laundry.
you.
Didn't even say
Very,
anything.
very kind of
Because
you.
the soda is from Laundry as well.
Thank
That's
you. Laundry.
Wild Bill's strawberry cream.
Hey.
Very kind of you, sir. Thank you very much. In honor of you, I'm going to put Eli Roth on the screen.
Please
For the
don't.
rest of...
Absolutely not.
Okay, we got the Hulkster.
Okay,
We're giving you the
that's
Hulkster.
I can
Brother.
deal with that.
There you
I'm not sure that I think it's getting better.
Thank you, brother.
Hulk Hogan, the real master of horror.
True.
But yeah, we appreciate that, Laundry Art. Very kind of you. Very generous. Appreciate that. So yeah, back to Malignant. Yes. What were your all's thoughts on Malignant?
I had fun with it. I figured, well, it's James Wan's 2 hours, and I'm sure I'll like something in this movie. And I turned out liking more than I thought I would like, because that was kind of a bonkers twist. Also, I like seeing more gore, more practical effects, and I just wasn't expecting. I thought, maybe just like go a little bit crazier with it. You're already going weird with it. Just keep going. Keep going.
Yeah.
But,
I agree. Yeah, I felt like I'm in the minority because Twitter, there's a lot of negative about it, and rightfully so. Some people don't have to like a movie, but I really enjoyed Malignant.
I haven't seen any negativity toward that movie online.
Oh,
I
I got
have.
messed. Oh, I have
I
seen
have.
a bunch.
Yeah.
But so I sat down today to watch it, and I was very ready to not like it because I'm not a James Wan guy. I don't like jump scares, and I don't like cheap ghost jump scares that go nowhere. And he's like the king of that. I know. Me and Christian are on different sides of the fence, but that's okay. We still are we're still neighbors and partners. I really liked most of it, like way more than I thought I would. The fact that it wants to be a bad early '90s film and it embraces that is really cool. I think I should have trusted Akila Cooper a lot more. That should have been a hint that I would like this. It's not perfect. There's things I do think are goofy in it that probably are not goofy in the right way. And there's a couple moments that are a little bit too James Wan for me. But overall, this was way, way better than I expected. And I'd say people should check it out. The opening scene is brilliant because it lets you know what you're getting, and it's not what you expect from James Wan. And I think that's really refreshing. Also, how cool was it to have a film that just didn't feel preachy and heavy and full of like self-importance? This film was like, nah, fuck it, we're gonna tell a rock and roll horror story.
Yeah.
Buckle in, friends.
I don't know. If I were a Siamese twin, I would have been really pissed at this movie because they're completely
good.
You know,
I want people to start being pissed off at things again instead of whiny.
I thought you were going to say you want people to be pissed off at Siamese twins. Like you've got something against Siamese twins.
So that the term Siamese twin is actually offensive to that group at this point. So
what's not offensive?
Exactly. That's the point. This film was not something you would have pitched if you were not James Wan, because you wouldn't have.
I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Conjoined twins.
But you wouldn't get this. You wouldn't get this greenlit if you were someone besides James Wan. So it's like kind of the brilliance of having him do it was the only way this was going to be a theatrical release in 2021. So
yeah,
I'm glad it exists. It may be my favorite James Wan film because I'm not a fan, and this I think is pretty damn fun.
I was really just expecting a generic ghost flick, and I have watched a lot of just generic ghost flicks. Not necessarily bad, not good, just fine and forgettable. I wouldn't say I love this film, but I was definitely entertained. And that third act, where I was just like, "Holy crap! This is going a different direction than I expected." The prison scene where Zoe Bell shows up with the hair.
I love it.
Yeah, I think it was 100% intentional. As Lauren was saying, he was just having a good time. And I kind of suspected from the beginning with it's time to cut out the cancer. I was like, oh, okay, I think I'm going to get something different. And I certainly did. It's a little longer than it had to be. But
yeah,
I was entertained. I didn't hate it. I think it might grow on me with no pun intended, with a second watch. But hey, I'll always give credit to something that does something a little different, and just because, my God, I'm Conjuring and Insidious out at this point. So hey, a thumbs up. I will say this though, as far as James Wan films, see Death Sentence if you haven't. That's the one nobody saw, but that's a great revenge movie. Kevin Bacon's fantastic, and John Goodman is quite the evil bastard in that movie. So check it out.
Based on a great novel, by the way. The only thing I would change about the movie, to be honest with you, I would shorten it. An editor would be good for that film. Yeah. That video game sequence in the middle of the film, or in the 3/4 way point in that film, whereas it just becomes a freaking video game for like 4 minutes.
Oh, the chase.
Not okay with that. Man, it's goofy. It's like watching a Venom or Spider-Man film in the middle of this horror movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I just wouldn't do it. I would have cut the whole sequence and just done I would even have had the villain enter the room and then cut to like the aftermath. It would have been far more effective than the silly like gymnastic like video game Avatar shit. Yeah. But you know what? I will say that when you finally got the reveal of what you were dealing with on that fuzzy videotape, I was pretty down. I was pretty much like, okay, this is what I love about, grimy 1988 to 1993 horror films. Right before the drought. This felt like a film that would have come out right before the Great Horror Drought began. Something in that time period between I, Maniac and Candyman, somewhere in there.
It would have been a Trimark release.
Definitely.
Yeah.
A Trimark release for sure. Probably produced by like Stuart Gordon or Brian Usna. You know what I mean? So
I think it'll get a cult following in a few years. I think people come around to it.
I went into it with no expectations. I just thought the trailer looked really good. And I don't know, maybe I was in the wrong mind frame, but I was ready to bow out of that movie about halfway through. I was just like, I hate the characters. It's boring. And then Dan said, hey, the third act gets pretty wild. So I held on to the third act, and I was like, okay, all right, here we go. Here
some all right. Trims. That's the thing. It didn't need to be 2 hours. It's a 90-minute movie for a B movie. Yes. I mean, that's why I couldn't go much higher than what I did in my review, because it's like, man, it just 90 minutes minimum or maximum. It didn't need to be 2 hours, but the fun is there if you stick around. So,
This actually is a good bridge to a side conversation, which is that the reason we're seeing movies being made longer and letting them make, these 120-minute horror movies, which is kind of preposterous, is because they know their ultimate life will be on streaming. Whereas the longer something is, that's the more, hours of entertainment a platform can say they have. So it's not like the theater fill and spill model where you want to get them in, give them enough time to eat their popcorn, drink their drink, and get them the hell out so you can clean the theater and shuttle more people in.
Yeah. But I mean, I do think it's good for the genre. It's a non-franchise movie that people are talking about and that a lot of people seem to love. So I mean, that's good. And I like James Wan. I've liked most of his movies. I agree. I'm glad it's not just another Insidious, Conjuring kind of deal.
Which is a lot of what that audience was that probably was watching that film. The Conjuring audience, not necessarily James Wan audience people, but The Conjuring from the makers of The Conjuring. I mean, they make sure to put that in all the adverts.
I had so much more fun with this than any Conjuring film, including the first.
Yeah, I was so joyous when I was like, this is the most batch movie I've ever seen. Thank you. It makes it's so ridiculous in what it is. Thank you. Because I get burnt out on the paranormal stuff. That's fake too. Let's be real. So if we're gonna be fake, let's be really fake. Let's have really big fake tits. So this was really big fake tits to me.
That's a good analogy for this movie. Really big fake boobs. That's a good analogy for this movie.
But also, can we just say that Akilah Cooper is the real thing? She's one of us. She's a horror fan. I mean, if that's not blatant at this point, I don't know what is. So love you. Awesome. Keep going.
Have you guys seen any and gals seen anything else good lately?
I've watched nothing this week except for I watched Freddy's Dead. That's right, because it's 30 years old.
You've not seen anything good.
Yeah, I've really seen. That movie's burned into my brain, Freddy's Dead. So I feel like this was one of those weeks where it's like, man, I meant to watch all the horror movies because we're just getting closer and closer to spooky season. I mean, we're in it now, but we're getting closer to Halloween, and I need to up my game. But it is one of those weeks that everything got away from me, and it sucks because the weather is super freaking nice down here. We actually have normal, almost fall-like weather. Oh. It's so strange. And I forgot to enjoy it by indulging in horror movies, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I've talked to a lot of people who've said that this past week was really weird for them too. It's been really weird for me. Other than half of Malignant, I haven't seen anything else new or exciting. I just honestly I haven't had the energy. It's just there's this weird. But it's a million degrees here all the time. This is the first day that it's kind of starting to calm down a little bit, But I don't know if that has something to do with it. But this past week, my energy was just off for watching a bunch of horror, even though I really wanted to.
I think we're about to hit a bunch of retrogrades also.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be fun. It's 5 or 6 months. Sorry, Dan, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's okay. I have a couple new ones that I did watch. One I think you saw, Piz, Last Matinee. If you want a foreign slasher that was actually surprisingly a lot of fun. Another one, and I'll say this, most of you are not going to like it. But it was genuinely disturbing. Is The Trouble with Being Born, which is a German sci-fi film, but one of the most shaking, disturbing things I've watched in a long time. As far as trigger warnings, they're all there. So be careful if you want to subject yourself to it. But it's very well made, and there's 2 scenes in particular. It's not gore, but man, if you want to feel depressed and not good, watch that one, I guess.
Thanks.
Exactly. Thanks, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I can definitely agree with you on The Last Matinee. I had a lot of fun with that one. Really, really cool old school slasher flick. Some really nice practical makeup and gore effects, and I loved the theater setting. I was like, where are there still theaters like this in the world? Did they have to build this? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But really good movie. I would highly recommend it if you get the opportunity to see The Last Matinee, watch it. And don't worry that it's subtitled. There's not a lot of talk going on in it. Less talk, more stabby, gutty, blood splashy kind of stuff going on.
Yeah, it's a straightforward slasher, but I did enjoy it quite a bit. The running Brooke Shields joke I thought was actually pretty cool, and a lot of fun.
Yeah, good stuff. Definitely good stuff.
I saw a great Korean horror film called Gaimon, The Lightless Door, which the least you know about it, the better, because it's a very surprisingly it's filled with ideas, and you won't be expecting that from the outside. And I recommend it. It's a little bit hard to find subtitles at the moment, but if you get the chance, definitely worth it. See, I had to give something either older or foreign because that's me.
Anybody else seen anything?
The only thing relatively new that I've seen on Shudder was that Barbara Crampton movie Jacob's Wife, which was okay.
Oh.
I actually think it was one of her better performances since she had some material to work with, except, Charlie Band just basically says, just look pretty in front of the camera a lot of times. But I thought it was actually pretty decent little flick. Robert Russler was in there, so he was charming to see. He gets just destroyed in that movie. Some of those Shudder movies, man, they're not they're modest, but I mean, they seem to be done by fairly competent filmmakers. So I would say check out Jacob's Wife. It's actually I liked it. I liked it for what it was.
Cool. I just realized I should have been loading up the new RAD report while y'all were talking, but I was just so enthralled by everyone's conversation. So anyway, let's. What?
I got a question for you because you were talking about Last Matinee. Almost did it. So have you seen the poster for The Last Manatee going around?
What?
Yes, I have. As a matter of fact, yes, I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point that out because I got a bunch of joy from it, and I had no idea what it was related to until now.
Hold on, let's share it. The Last Manatee. Don't get the two confused. There's The Last Matinee, and there's The Last Manatee. Actually, it's not even showing up on Google. It's that obscure. The Last Manatee.
It was on Twitter for like 2 seconds, and then it's nowhere to be found, I guess.
Oh, wow.
It got canceled immediately.
Well, apparently.
Well, let's turn the floor over to our old pal Garrett, aka Born to Be Rad, for this week's Rad Report.
Rad Report. What's up, everybody? Garrett back here, and I'm interrupting your regularly scheduled program with my newest edition of the Rad Report, where I go through all the physical media news and releases in the upcoming weeks. All right, so the next couple of weeks, we've got a couple steelbooks coming out. You can probably get these. I think they are Best Buy exclusive for The Shawshank Redemption and Clockwork Orange in 4K. Death Screams is finally getting a release from Arrow. That comes out next week on a Blu-ray format. I've actually never seen that movie, so if you guys on Region Free know anything about Death Screams, let me know. I'm just about this close to pull the trigger on that one. Dementia 13 is getting a release from Vestron, which we've talked about Vestron before. Love that label. They bring out cool releases at a great price. And the last big one coming out in the next couple weeks is Alone in the Dark. I had that pre-order from Scream Factory. I know they had some issues pumping them out. I guess they said they haven't received them yet, but I just got an email saying that it is on its way. All right, so now on to the news where I'm going to talk about a lot of pre-orders that dropped and anything big that's been talked about when it comes to physical media. So Scream Factory is just about to release their Halloween 1 through 5 4K set. I know it did get pushed back a week, but check out Amazon now. The prices have dropped to $25 a piece. So that's a huge discount on these titles. So if you haven't grabbed them yet and you've been on the fence about it, now might be the time to strike. Speaking of Scream Factory, they did announce they are going to do a 4K of Krampus, but they're going to call this the naughty cut. So I assume this is not the theatrical cut. So if you do have that theatrical cut on Blu-ray and you're a fan of the film, I wouldn't throw that one away just yet, because I don't think this version is going to have both editions on it. But yeah, Krampus 4K The Naughty Cut by Scream Factory is coming out this year. A huge release I'm waiting for is The Guest. Now, The Guest is such a great movie. I've talked about this before. I was a little bit on the fence if I was going to upgrade this or not. Again, the Blu-ray looks great. The special features are okay. The artwork is terrible for the Blu-ray. So I said to myself, I will jump on the second sight if they give this thing the proper treatment, and it looks awesome. So it does look like it's going to get a real good treatment of special features. The box looks awesome. So I'm going to definitely now be upgrading The Guest on 4K. It looks like Troma is going to be releasing Bloodhook, which was originally a Vinegar Syndrome title, which makes me think that that is no longer in the hands of Vinegar Syndrome. So if there is any left on the website and you do not have it, and you'd rather take that version, I would jump on it now. I heard a rumor that there's actually another cut of this movie, which they think Troma will be releasing. I think the Vinegar Syndrome one, they said was more of a director's cut, and Troma is going to release one that's a little bit shorter. I'm not sure if this is confirmed yet, but that's what I heard. So if you like that movie a lot and you want both versions, the Troma one might be one to check out. I'm Dangerous Tonight. Anthony Perkins' movie is coming out from Kino on Blu-ray. Now, I read a little bit about this and it sounds awesome. I've actually never seen this movie. I do not own this movie. So if you guys in Region Free or anybody in the comments, let me know what you think of I'm Dangerous Tonight with Anthony Perkins. Is that a great movie? Is it worth a check? Let me know, because I am definitely interested. Another one that I'm interested in is by Ronin. It's a movie they're putting out on Blu-ray called Modern Vampires. It did look cool on the cover. I haven't seen anything about it. I need to look at a trailer, but I've never heard of this movie. I do not own this movie. So again, if anybody out there knows anything about Modern Vampires, is that worth a grab or not? Speaking of Ronin, they just announced they're going to do a 3-disc I Spit on Your Grave 4K treatment box. It looks gorgeous, but I personally don't think that's a movie I really need to upgrade from Blu-ray to 4K. You know, I was a fan of the movie, but I don't think I really need to upgrade this one. I know Ronin's been having a lot of issues with the box set that they put out, just selling as much as they thought. I mean, when it first came out, I really wanted it. I mean, like, this looks great, I really want this, but the price was high. So I don't think they really sold a lot of those, because the price keeps coming down and down and down and down. And now they just announced the 4K, so I'm not sure what's going on over there with that, but I think I'm happy with the Blu-ray that I have of I Spit on Your Grave, and I won't be upgrading for now. Umbrella is releasing Possession. That was announced. I'm not sure if it's up for pre-order yet, but it was announced. The last time I heard Possession came out was by a pretty sweet edition. I think Mondo might have done it. I'm not sure if it's out of print now, but it was a real nice edition. This movie is insane. If you haven't checked out Possession, it's one to see. I definitely would say that. So I'm a little bit interested in this Umbrella one to maybe check out, or I might just go get that Mondo if the price is still right. So I wanted to save the best for last, and they just announced that 31 from Rob Zombie is getting a Steelbook treatment, Target exclusive. I know you guys are all excited for that one, so make sure to go check your Targets and pick it up. Thank you guys again for checking it out. This is Garrett at Born to Be Rad. Now get back to the rest of Region Free.
$31, baby. Steelbook, I'm pumped.
Won't be going there.
I'm gonna buy 10. I'm gonna buy 10.
I'm buying 31. 31.
Oh.
I'm here for Krampus. I love that movie.
But can you handle the naughty edition?
We'll see. We'll see. I've been nice all this year, so it'll be changed.
That is so not true.
It's true.
I believe
sadly,
it. I believe her.
This is my nice version.
God help you if you get the naughty version.
Right?
Yeah, I'm gonna get that. But I will say, Modern Vampires, that is a crazy ass movie. Directed by Richard Elfman. It has Udo Kier, Rod Steiger, Kim Cattrall, Craig Ferguson, Natasha Lyonne, and Casper Van Dien. If you haven't watched that, it got a lot of play on like HBO back in the day. It's a crazy vampire flick, and yeah,
I saw it. I don't remember really anything about it. It was one of those 3 o'clock in the morning on HBO or Cinemax flicks.
Yeah, always. Well, it's not that kind of Cinemax flick, but yeah, it's
right. Yeah, it's not a Skinemax flick. It's not a Skinemax flick.
But yeah, I'd like to see more from that era. I've noticed a little more. I think that was a '99 film. So I'll be upgrading my DVD. I like that one.
Death. I had somebody ask me about Death Screams today on Twitter. I rented that movie a million years ago. I don't remember a thing about it.
Well, you probably rented it under the name House of Death. That's probably why you're having a little bit of crazy time trying to remember it. It's definitely a C-grade slasher. It's not something to rush out the door for, but if you're a completist of that subgenre, I guess you need it. It's well shot. Doesn't have much else to say for it, but it's well shot. It's one of those films that very clearly was made with the idea that it would have to have a life afterwards on television. So it kind of has that kind of production look to it. It's not like a grimy slasher. Piz, you're a big fan of Cutting Class. I'd say, it's kind of in that league, although the cast is nowhere near that good. But
I do love Cutting Class. That's true.
I bet you did.
I
yes.
don't love that film.
I used to like to cut class and go watch Cutting Class. Okay, that's how hardcore I was about Cutting Class. So,
Brad Pitt just entered the chat.
Brad Pitt's came a long way since Cutting Class. A long way.
Yes.
I am excited for The Guest. That's a great freaking movie that I very seldom hear anybody talk about, but that's a great freaking movie. It's not an easy movie to kind of explain, and it gets lumped into horror genre, but it's really not a horror movie. And as I recall, like the original poster art was just the dude, just the dude standing there, with blue and red lights on him. Like, okay, what does this poster tell me? You know what I mean? Is he at a clubber? Is he at a nightclub? You know what I mean? But it's such a great freaking movie.
Yeah.
So definitely looking forward to that one. And Lauren, I know, is stoked now about these Halloween 4Ks coming down in price, and because of that Halloween 5 footage. That's all he's talked about on Twitter for the past 2 weeks.
I think you're reading someone else's Twitter.
Hey, I must be following a fake account.
So.
Yeah.
Jordan Lixon.
I do.
Confused.
Of the later sequels, which I guess is no longer even a later sequel, but I do like Halloween 5 quite a lot. But I will not be upgrading. This is no point.
4K? You're not going to upgrade for 4K? Dr. Death footage? 3 seconds of additional blood?
Let's try no.
Wow.
I'm good. I have. It's one of. I don't have all the Halloween films on Blu-ray because I simply don't watch some of them ever. So why would I own them?
What?
Did you almost fall over?
He was startled.
But I do own Halloween 5 on Blu-ray, so I mean that's good enough. I'm there. I'm at the height of what I need.
See, I always figured if I was, for some reason, I was at Lauren's house and said, "Hey man, could we watch Halloween 5?" He would pull out a home video that he just recorded on TV, and it's like, "This is all I got. This is good enough."
That's my copy of Bad Ronald, actually, which I refuse to buy in a real format because Bad Ronald should exist on a bootleg VHS cassette.
Here's Lauren's copy of Nightmare on Elm Street.
I don't even have.
God.
Wait! Stop. I do not own any but the original film because what did I do, Sam?
I know you've got it right here. This is the one you own.
Well, I have the Nightmare Encyclopedia. I don't know what you did with the rest of those.
Oh, I dispersed all those films all over the place.
Uh-huh.
And if people wanted them, they got them. You actually wanted the one that I hadn't been taken yet, so.
It's the close. It's got all the goodies on it. It's like the icing on top of your Hostess cupcake.
I'm so glad you. I'm so glad it's made you happy because it was not making me feel anything.
It's like my white whale. That's so sad.
I'm also really excited for I'm Dangerous Tonight finally coming to Blu-ray. I've always really liked that movie. It's just too bad, Toby Hooper's no longer around to do like a commentary or something. But yeah, I've always really liked that movie, and Kino's giving it like a 2K restoration. So cool, let's do it. I'm excited for that one.
It's not my favorite Hooper film, but it's far from my least favorite Hooper film either. It's right in the middle of the pack. Macdonald is pretty great in it. More so than I think Anthony Perkins, who was kind of partially checked out at that point. No offense to him, he wasn't well. I mean, so it's fine. It definitely was made for a budget, but I also understood it was made for a budget, so it doesn't try and do anything that it can't pull off.
It was also like made for cable, so don't expect like a bloodbath and gore and all that jazz.
No. Is it going to be 4:3?
But it'll be 2K43.
It had in Europe it had a theatrical release, so I believe there's a widescreen version of it out there.
There used to be I think there was a widescreen version of it on YouTube for a while, but it's no longer there. So
off the PAL DVD from back in the day.
Yeah. So, but yeah, those are the upcoming Blu-ray releases. were any of those pique your interest? Anybody? Or any of those must-owns for anybody?
Well, the Krampus one.
Krampus for sure. Yeah, for me too.
Yeah, I'll probably get that Anthony movie as well.
Yeah,
The Guest is a weird movie. I have The Guest on Blu-ray from overseas because it was hard. That was one of the titles I grabbed when I went region free. But I don't really see upgrading that. I think if a movie's made in the last 10 years, 12 years, I think a Blu-ray is pretty fine. I mean, it's like having a Ferrari and then having a Ferrari that has cow leather. I mean, I don't need the cow leather. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but don't need to upgrade that.
I just love that you had to specify cow leather as if you're like, well, chipmunk leather's popular, but I did want to mention that Possession is actually getting a limited theatrical re-engagement in America. It's about 20 screens to coincide with the release. It's a weird film. There's people who really, really love it, and there's a lot of people who really get pushed away from that movie. But it's definitely worth a one-time watch. And if you're in one of the select markets that has it on the big screen, that's the way to watch it.
Oh, I'll check the Louisiana market and see if it's playing near me.
You know it's playing there.
You never know. I will say, if you are a fan of Possession, there's a Mexican horror film called The Untamed, which is not a remake of it, but definitely heavily inspired.
Possession is pretty wild, man.
Yeah,
You have to see it at least once. I don't think it's a great film. There are moments that I'm just like, this makes zero sense, but visually, it's stunning. I know it gets Piz aroused. Look at him right now. Where are your hands, Piz? Where are your hands?
He's gonna fall off the chair again.
I just pray I don't stand up. Pray I don't stand up. I'll knock the whole desk over. The computer will go flying. It'll be bad. It'll be bad. Well, let's continue this Blu-ray talk. Dan, I think you've got a Blu-ray review or two for us.
Yes, actually. So I know Lauren is very eager to talk more Halloween. So unfortunately for you, though, it's not that Halloween. So I think you'll be good. So there's a Blu-ray that's been out, I think, a little over a year or so, from AGFA, the American Genre Film Archive, called Scary Movie. It is not that scary movie. This is actually a 1991 regional horror film from director Daniel Erickson. And this follows on Halloween night, the local nerd Warren is attending a spook house in a small Texas town, but things are not as harmless as his friends tell him, as a psychotic mental patient has made it his new stomping ground. So interesting history with this. It's a totally Austin, Texas-based film, regional horror film made up entirely of local talent, and everything from just the director's friends to professionals who worked on Clint Eastwood films and all sorts of things. You will recognize some stuff if you're a Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan, because they actually were loaned props from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And this is not, I don't want to put this over as a great film before I get into it too much, but it is certainly a movie that will make you feel this season. It oozes Halloween. It gives me that feeling of hay rides and candy apples. It's very well made. There's some really good camera work. It never had a nationwide release at all. This played locally in Austin, and until this Blu-ray came out, very few people saw it. It's notable because John Hawkes, future Academy Award nominee, plays Warren, and so the acting's definitely a notch or two above the regular. Butch Patrick is in this film as a small little role. He was an Austin native, and
of course he is.
Yes, I almost did a movie with Butch Patrick too, so it wasn't.
I need to hear about that story.
It's a funny little story. This movie was so crazy. They actually sent a letter to Scream, which, as most of you know, was originally Scary Movie, and asked them not to use the title. Somehow I suspect them asking them not to had nothing to do with it, but the Wayans brothers just laughed at them, apparently, which they just went ahead with it. It took me forever to watch this. I read about this movie. I think maybe the Psychotronic video guide back in the day, and I saw it on IMDb, and I was like, it was always on my list of films that I could not get a hold of. So when AGFA did put it out, I was over the moon, because it took me so long to watch it. And I do enjoy this film. I really do. It's relatively bloodless. It's tame, but it has kind of almost like a Nightmare on Elm Street dream like kind of vibe to it. And I really, really genuinely enjoy this one. John Hawkes modeled his character after Ichabod Crane, and you can see that you're not just dealing with a non-professional and a cheap horror movie. And interestingly enough, this was the film that put enough money in his pocket that he could go to Hollywood and pursue his career full time. So we have Scary Movie to give credit to for all the great work he's done, from 3 Billboards to, The Sessions, and all these fantastic dramatic films that he did. And this is early 90s. It has that really feel of the early 90s. So I know 90s nostalgia is kind of really popular right now. And it's more genuine here. You can feel it more than just a modern film trying to ape the 90s. And I had a great time with it. Butch Patrick's Wolfie doll makes a cameo at one point, and they just never got a U.S. distribution deal. This film did have an initial premiere at the Village, which is now an Alamo Drafthouse, and it's the same theater that Texas Chainsaw Massacre premiered. So there's a lot of overlap from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And if you want a slice of Halloween and something that you very well probably haven't seen, check out Scary Movie from 1991. It has some good extras, very informative commentary track. It also has a short film that some of you actually might have seen called Mr. Pumpkin. If you've had the pleasure of attending an Alamo Draft House, that usually ran before their Texas Chainsaw Massacre screenings, and The Howling too, I believe, and it's really cool 10-minute little short. And yeah, check this out. It's from AGFA. It's been out about a year or so, and nobody's ever really, even now it seems, talks about it. I had a really good time. Another Blu-ray review. Now, this one you probably have heard of, in all honesty, but it still doesn't, I think, get the credit it deserves. And that is, and you can all laugh at me while I try and pronounce the French names, but this is a 1960 film from director Georges Franju. Again, laugh at me if I'm pronouncing these wrong. I am a fan, but I don't know how to say the names. And that is Eyes Without a Face. And Criterion put the Blu-ray out a while ago. And just revisiting this, and I'm not going to deep dive too much, but because I think most of you know, it follows this obsessive doctor played by Pierre Boucher, who attempts a radical plastic surgery to restore the beauty of his daughter's disfigured face, which he caused in a drunken car accident. And well, as you can imagine, things don't go as they as he planned. It's based on the Jean Redon novel, and this is a movie that was highly controversial at the time, and inspired many films. It's it's got the mad scientist trope, but certainly took it to new levels. And lots of really harsh reviews at the time, because this had a 4-minute face removal sequence. This is very early body horror, and it's quite, maybe not shocking to us now, but then that was pretty rough. And Franju had all kinds of issues with this movie, because he was told by the censors that he had to he can't have a mad scientist, because in Germany that conjures bad memories. He could not have he had to watch the blood for certain markets, and basically like everything that the film was about, he could not do. And so this was edited heavily edited for a very, very long time. It was put out as the horrible Dr. Faustus, I believe, in the US, and it was cut to hell. And this is French horror at a time when France really did not embrace the genre at all. I mean, we had Carnival of Sinners in 43. We had Diabolique in 55, I believe it was. But it really took the producer seeing what Hammer was doing, what Vincent Price was doing, to sort of jump on the bandwagon. And it was the Horror Chamber of Dr. Faustus here, pardon me. They came out in 1962. And this is a movie that inspired so much. Jess Franco ripped it off with his awful Dr. Orloff series. You've seen direct stuff taken from this in Face Off with the iconic Dove scene. It's Faceless is another one. Franco really enjoyed redoing this film. I would consider this a must. If you're a horror fan, even if you don't particularly enjoy this particular era of horror, you should see it. There's a strong power to this film, and horror fans will recognize Alida Valli, who plays the doctor's assistant. She was also, of course, in Dario Argento's Suspiria and Inferno as well. She fantastic in this movie. There's a couple, just kind of the quiet show stealer here. She has a couple particularly heartbreaking scenes. You cannot beat this film in terms of mood. Edith Schaub as Christiane is just heartbreaking, and that look with that simple mask, which again, Batman 1989. Most people wouldn't know it, but that's the same mask that they used in that iconic scene with the Joker. And you need to see this film. It is fantastic. Lauren, I obviously, I'm assuming you've seen it. I hope people will give it a shot this Halloween, because I'd recommend this just about anybody. It's an excellent movie.
Very cool. Let me give a quick shout out here before we talk more about it. Thank you, Simon Morris, for the 440, £4.49 super chat. Has anyone seen the 1972 UK slasher Fright? It stars Susan George. It's Halloween meets House of the Devil.
Isn't that a Freddie Francis joint?
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, that's another.
I'm writing it down.
Yeah, it's right.
The UK does not get what it deserves in credit for the 70s. The way that Italy in the late 70s gets all this praise and adoration from American fans. The UK, for some, and I know Dan and I have talked about this, but the UK, for some reason, between 66 and 70, maybe 7, was producing like unbelievably great horror, and yet they were never considered a hotspot. It's weird.
Yeah, a lot of the they're just forgotten. It's a shame too, because there's some really good stuff.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you, Simon. I've actually never heard of it, but I do have it pulled up here on Amazon, so I may have to give it a purchase.
Pull the trigger on it; you won't regret it.
Oh, cool.
We're making everybody spend money tonight.
Seriously, I am this close to ordering Scary Movie.
I think you will like that one. I know I picked like 2 incredibly different movies tonight, because Eyes Without a Face is very heavy. But yeah, Scary Movie just made me feel like Halloween. I don't know. I was surprised how much I actually liked it.
I have a question. What the hell is a spook house?
That's what they call it on the back of the Blu-ray. It's a haunted house.
I've never heard it called that. I'm like, is that an Austin thing?
It must be an Austin thing, yeah.
Rest of Texas just like looking at Austin like, what the hell's wrong with y'all?
They built the whole thing for the movie, and I don't know. I thought it was really cool, and I was watching it. I'm like, where is Butch Patrick? And he's the guy that's getting chopped up for real eventually.
Playing a character named Eddie appropriately.
Yes. Dealing with his agent, who is his wife, actually was interesting.
And John Hawkes is a really good actor. Really good actor. Yeah.
Amazing. And comedy as well. He was on Eastbound and Down with Danny McBride. He played his brother.
That's a great show.
Yeah, it is funny. He can do everything. And I forgot to mention, and I thought this was really, really kind of him. He paid the director back, because the director only did one other film in 2010, I believe, and it was an all-mannequin movie that the director made. And John Hawkes, at that point, being a pretty big star character actor, came back to actually do the voice for him, because he owed him his career. Because this, again, he left 2 weeks after they wrapped on this, because he made just enough money to move to his apartment in Hollywood. And I thought that was just really cool. And they're still friends, so.
And I've actually never seen Eyes Without a Face.
Ooh.
I've actually seen it, believe it or not. That movie's amazing. The movie's amazing. I don't own that, though. I'd like to get that, but
it was on sale the last I looked. Criterion, next sale they do, guys, you should definitely check it out. So the only complaint some people have with Eyes Without a Face is there's some interesting musical choices, kind of carnival waltz stuff that doesn't gel with everybody. But man, it's haunting. Absolutely haunting. And I also recommend The Skin I Live In, the Pedro Almodovar film, which is also not quite a remake, but certainly inspired by this as well.
Yeah. Cool.
Good stuff.
I'm going to do something that we haven't done in a while. We're going to introduce a brand new segment for this episode
Uh-oh.
of Region Free. Brand new segment. It's called Sam Slams. What do you want to slam this week, Sam?
Oh God.
You got the whole screen too.
No one told me about this. Is this like a grind my gears
This
sort
is,
of thing?
no, this is something I used to do all the time. Just randomly put somebody on the spot. Slam
I have
something.
plenty of things to hate on. I never run out.
Slam something. Just slam something.
Okay. Dread Central. Go, like, seriously, go choke on a. Never mind. I'm not gonna. I'm trying to be less blue over here. So, they put out this article about needing more. You can cut me off if this is going too far.
No.
They put out an article. I'm waiting to be muted. No lie. They put out an article from someone who wrote about why we need more POC horror critics, and I'm like, I just want more horror critics that don't flate the shit out of the new releases. I mean, I complained about this last time. Besides that, though, I went and I read the article, and I mean, because it's the year 2021 and we live on the internet, I am outraged at everything I read. So, I mean, I think the problem that I had with this article is just the fact that the research done was anecdotal at best. The complaint that I'm seeing is that the people that, you know, are reviewing horror movies and getting paid for them are not diverse enough. And it's like, there are plenty of diverse people on the internet. I don't know what they're getting paid or if they're getting paid, but they're all over the place. Like horror criticism is not, you know, is fairly liberal. I think we can all agree with that. Like, we're not running out of diverse people. But then the thing is that we're putting all of this first before any good stories. That's kind of what I'm having the problem with. And I'm just going to read this quote from this article. And because I had tweeted it out previously, and it just got under my skin because I love The Empty Man, and I had fun with Malignant, and I like both movies. And I feel like I don't want these to really be pitted against each other. But it was, quote, "We're watching in real time how they applaud The Empty Man, but Malignant is divisive as some people seem to suddenly be bored with James Wan now that he's directed something co-written by a black woman, Akilah Cooper." End quote. I have not seen one person make that complaint with Malignant. Not one. I've seen some people be like, it's a little long.
Yeah, I have no idea who that person is. I've heard the name before. I had no idea that person wrote Malignant. No idea. But then again, I forgot that Dread Central existed until you just brought them up.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, because when I heard Akilah Cooper, I was like, I don't know who that is. I should probably check IMDb. And then that's, you know, how I found out, oh, they worked on Hellfest. Well, good for her. And that was the end of my thought process. Because I've heard good things about Hellfest, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll go watch it now.
Well, see, here's the thing, too. Dread Central, why aren't you hiring more diverse critics for your website and whatever else you do? Why aren't you leading by example?
Yeah, I mean, you know, they did put this piece out.
Yeah, it must have been a really, really slow day, and they needed some clicks really bad. I'm guessing that's probably at the core of it.
I don't know. I just think, again, we're getting stuck on what a person looks like and where, you know, all this stuff before we're talking about stories.
Yeah.
And I think The Empty Man has a stronger story than Malignant, but I can like both.
Yeah, and I've never. I mean that God, they're clutching at straws so bad. Like everybody who didn't like Malignant, they first went to IMDb and said, "Well, wait a minute, who's this? Who's everyone associated with this movie?" Okay, oh, there's a person of color who wrote it. I hate this movie. I mean, who would even make? That's so preposterous.
And that is so disrespectful to the writer.
Yeah.
If she has to read
Well, she's not. So Akilah Cooper is not exactly a wilting flower either. She worked for Marvel on the Luke Cage series. She was a producer and a writer on that series. She's not someone who's been ignored by the industry. She worked for Gail Ann Hurt on Hellfest. What are we claiming? What are we claiming here? As far as people's, I think the last thing people are saying is, "Oh, that was written by a black person. I'm going to attack it." I don't think anyone was even aware at that point. It's a minority of people who are that dyed-in-the-wool racist that they're going to search out the race, gender, or background of someone who wrote a draft of a screenplay. It's insane.
That goes beyond racist. That you would look up. Oh, wait a minute. This movie was catered by a person of color. Screw this movie. I mean, who's got time to do this? This is such ridiculous grasping at straws. They should be ashamed that they published that. I mean, just
because does your town have a Rita's Italian Ice?
No.
We have them.
If you had the money to open a Rita's Italian Ice and you thought your town needed a Rita's Italian Ice, would you open the store?
Sure.
Right. Because that's what people do when they see a need and they care that much. Yeah. So rather than write an article calling for someone else to fix this problem, hey, Dread Central, fix it. You have every power in the world to fix it. You want more voices that are reviewing films that are more diverse? Cool. I'm not saying that everyone will follow you down that path, because there's people who won't. But you know what? Money where your mouth is. Do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I constantly argue that I'm tired of watching the same friggin' movies with just character names changed, right? But I can at least say that I've added some little kernel of creativity to the genre, because I care that much, and it would be stupid for me just to bitch constantly and not try and give back in some way. So what the fuck are they doing? That's what my question.
I'm going to say this, and it's going to be hard for me to say, but in Dread Central's defense, so, I mean, they are trying to move towards that. I just kind of like, can we just get better, like, can we just get horror critics that are just going to be, more balanced? Yeah. I really don't need to look, I really want to know more about the story and more about the characters and what's going on in them.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you're going to pull me in. Like, I mean, Dan, no lie, like, you giving me the rundown on Scary Movie has me almost ready to go and buy it. Because it sounds bonkers. That's fun. That's kind of what I'm looking for when I want to see a review. I'm a little tired of all this complaining, and it's like, I feel like horror sometimes is going the way of comics. Like, it's going to be to this point where we're busy fighting over all of these things like gender or race or anything like that in our stories, that we're losing track of the stories themselves.
Yeah.
And you know what's really crazy about it? The reason I thought Malignant was so fun, because it was just being a romp. Mm-hmm. It wasn't weighing itself down with all the bullshit that's been in so many other movies. It just wanted to go out there and say, hey, this is a 2-chord punk rock song, 1, 2, 3, 4, let's go.
It made me wish I liked it a little more than I did, because I saw that too. I was like, wow, this was just... And again, I did like it. I just, I'm a little less enthusiastic than the average guy.
And can I just ask, I haven't read the Dread Central article, so just let me throw that out there, but it sounds to me like they're giving people a lot more credit for even knowing who the writers or the directors are. And that's sad to say, but truth be told, if I talk to, a handful of people, they don't know who wrote the movie they just watched. They don't know who even directed it, whether they're male, female, what their race or religion is. They know nothing. They're just, I liked it, I hated it, it was all right. Yeah. And I think that that's kind of giving more credit that people are even looking into things to know anything, to decide if they want to be for it or against it or like it or hate it. And I don't mean credit. Anyway, I'm scared to say anything anymore. But you know what I mean, right? Like, most people don't even know. So how can you say that this is the reason because of who this person is when so many people probably don't even know?
Our genre is insanely diverse. Lauren and I have talked about the book side of it for a while. I mean, on my shelf over here, I have a horror book from a trans author. I have a horror novel from a black author. These are all just recent pickups. I have horror novels from women. I would say at least half of the novels I pick up are women authors at this point. I could care less whether you're a woman, a man, what your sexual preferences are. Care less. Just give me a good story. People on all sides, in all fairness, are just bitching about this incessantly, and we never have a focus on the work. Again, Malignant, I don't think it's a fantastic film, but it is fun. Why can't it just be that? Like, run it down. More reviews for these films. As Sam said, a hopefully scary movie you do actually enjoy at this point. If I made you spend money, but I just rather than bitching about everybody nonstop, because I'll be honest, and I'll just say this about not specifically about Dread Central, but more diverse voices to do heavily studio influenced reviews. It doesn't matter. I just don't care about Dread Central. Yeah. You're just not getting the most honest opinions necessarily from not just Dread Central, but a lot of other sites. And it's the work. There's plenty of diversity. There really is. It's the work. Focus on the work.
Well, anybody who says there's not diversity among horror fans, they've never been to a horror convention.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was in New Jersey, I mean, it was a beautiful rainbow of horror. The horror brought us all together. So I mean, anyway, Sam, you slammed it good.
I'm just here to take the beatings. It's fine.
You slammed it good.
It's fine. Y'all can come after me on Twitter. It's all good. Wouldn't be the first time.
We'll have to make this a recurring. Lauren, you need to make a special graphic for whenever we do a Sam Slams.
I can do that.
Am I going to be the one that's just like being the meat shield out here, just like saying inappropriate things? It's okay. It's okay. I got it.
I want the segment to just be, we have a bunch of names in a hat, and whatever's pulled, she shoots on.
I'll do it.
Doesn't matter who it is. It can be Christian. It could be one of us. It could be, some movie. She's just gotta. It could be. Hey, if he's drawn, then she's gotta shoot on him.
Hey, the one thing I just want to point out as a last word on this is that all those horrible white supremacists who are following James Wan's career.
Yeah.
Did we overlook the obvious problem with the argument?
He's Asian.
Exactly.
I was going to say, why aren't they calling out Asian hate for people who don't like?
I wanted to say that, but
that hashtag's dead. We don't do that anymore.
That hashtag's dead. Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
jeez, Pete, that was great, Sam.
Thank you. I wasn't expecting to be outraged on the fly.
Greatness comes from spontaneity, and that was great, Sam.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Now I'm going to introduce another new portion tonight's show. It's called Susan Splinters. Susan, kill somebody. I want you to go mean on. No, I'm just joking. Go mean on Christian. Just tell him off. Tell him what I'm joking.
I'll take it. Christian, you motherfucker. What the fuck is wrong with people in your backwards ass state? You need some more rain down there? What is with you?
Oh God.
Shoot on the show.
Oh my God.
I'll pull up old video, like I'll pull up some streams or something, like some of y'all's channels, and then I'll Lauren's the worst. Like I'll catch him still like making fun of my damn shelves. They fell. God damn it! I don't know. I can't do nothing about it now.
All the Louisianians sticking together over here.
Sam, you've actually got a really cool topic for tonight. Do you want me to skip you and go around so you can kind of decompress?
Oh no, it's fine. I'm pretty, I got most of that nervous energy out anyway. So, okay. I know that as diehard horror fans, we can get sucked into a couple of different fandoms and be like totally devoted to them. and y'all know Nightmare on Elm Street's mine. So, going back and watching Freddy's Dead kind of, brought this up for me. And there's some, really fun areas you can just kind of bounce off of. And they kind of evolve into their own fan theories over time. Not Freddy's Dead related, but there was one for Wes Craven's New Nightmare where it's the beautiful dreamer theory, where Kristen dreams Nancy at the end of Nightmare 3 into part 7, which is like, wow, that's cool. I appreciate whoever took the time to think of that. One that I was kind of thinking about, which, is difficult given the fact that Freddy's Dead is supposed to take place like 10 years in the future, is, we don't really know where Alice is. And I'm still probably of the opinion that she's one of the people that's stuck in Weston Hills and Freddy vs. Jason that wouldn't wake up. And that opens like a whole other can of worms. Like, who are all those other people? Where's the background on that? That was kind of like one of those really interesting things in Freddy vs. Jason that everybody's kind of like, whatever, we're just going to ignore that. The reason I can't get like 100% behind that is because I can't really give a definitive answer about where Freddy vs. Jason takes place. Like, is it after or before Freddy's Dead? It's kind of, the timeline's all over the place. It's not all over the place like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's not maybe as much as like, say, Halloween. Halloween is kind of its own thing, and I know that there's a lot of Curse of Thorn fan theories going on. I'm not a historian about that, but just kind of like wondering where Alice is in Freddy's Dead is one thing, and I've heard other weird ones like Kevin McAllister grew up to be Jigsaw. Leatherface is actually a woman. Stuff like that. So I kind of wanted to pick brains and see if you guys have any especially weird fan theories that you've heard or ones that you've thought of on your own.
I've created the fan theory that Reggie the Reckless is Creighton Duke in Jason Goes to Hell. I created that fan theory. And I asked the director, Adam Marcus. He said it's unequivocally not true, but he lied. It is absolutely true. So it is 100% true.
I'm going to watch it that way now.
You should. You should.
Yeah, I know. It kind of like makes it better now.
I have stopped paying attention to fan theories because fan theories get me excited. And then what actually turns out, like there were so many great fan theories for like the end of Game of Thrones, for instance. So many excellent fan theories that were infinitely better than what they came up with for that show. At that point, I said, I can't follow fan theories anymore because the fan theories are better than what we get from the creatives. And I would just so I literally stopped paying attention to fan theories because of that, because the fan theories are better. They put far more thought and care into them than anybody who's actually making the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's part of the beauty about being fans.
But it's crushing. It's crushing. I was so crushed at the end of Game of Thrones, though. That it hurt. It hurt. It still hurts.
So, are you a fantasy guy, Piz? That sounds really bad. Never mind. Don't answer that.
Of who? I'm sorry.
Are you into fantasy?
Fantasy? Not really.
Okay, I was going to ask if you had any thoughts on Wheel of Time, but then we're just getting way off topic there.
Yeah, no.
I'm a Deathstalker guy. I like the cheesy side of fantasy. So, a tour. Yeah.
I always had a fan theory about the Saw films, about how the final scene of the final Saw film should have been gone. And it should have been, since the series is told in like just a random chronology anyway, I always thought the final scene should have been when Jigsaw was in his hospital bed recovering from the car crash, that he should have woken up and there'd be a tape player on his chest and he pushes play and someone is telling him they want to play a game. So his entire arc is just a game that he's been on and there's some further big bad.
Oh.
And as far as it's not my own, it belongs to a lot of people, but I'm sorry, X-Files, Scully was Samantha. You were setting it up for seasons, then you just abandoned it with a crappy episode where you found the real Samantha dead. Fuck that.
Wow, that actually I've never heard that theory. But
so
it's weird.
So they mentioned that both Samantha and Sam both broke the same bone at the same age in different episodes.
Yeah.
It was definitely going there, and then I guess they realized that the fans had figured it out, so they just didn't do it. Heartbreaking.
It's a little creepy when you consider David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson's insane chemistry on screen. It's like we know y'all boning.
Well, I mean, I don't want to get all, X-Filey on you, but after like the 5th season, they definitely changed direction because it was originally very clear that that the Cancer Man was Fox's father, but also that he was bringing the sister back to his son to try and get him back on the side against the alien invasion. It was all there. They just didn't commit to it, and that's kind of why I feel like the series ended up in those post 5 seasons to go further and further astray in the mythology episodes because they just weren't picking up on all those threads that they started. As a writer, it's like dead obvious what they're doing. I mean, dead obvious, and it's just saying it got to the point where all the fans were expecting it. So I guess Chris Carter decided to go a different way. But sometimes you just got to go with what you meant to do, no matter if it's not going to be a surprise anymore.
True that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There was something maybe half a year ago on Facebook that got really popular. I was reading about. People were sharing this article or something, and it was about Halloween, and it was all about how Laurie wasn't the initial target of Michael, and it was really Annie after she yelled at him when he was driving the car. And there was speculation that people would say, but there was a shot of Michael looking at Laurie from the school outside the window, blah, blah, blah. But people said that he was really just aimless at the time, and that when Annie yelled at him, that pissed him off. And so he went after her first in the film, and then subsequently it gained a lot of traction on Facebook. And I remember, I think Lee, Drum Dumps, and a couple of guys were making videos about it. And it was interesting.
It makes sense because he put the headstone in. It was her body. He put the sister headstone on the bed behind her. So I mean, that kind of makes sense. It's got some weight to it, I guess.
I feel like Carpenter probably did have that stuff genuinely in mind a little bit more back in the day when he was making this, but he's so removed himself. Well, now he's not removed himself. He's making money from it again now. But like, I've never heard him talk about that. Or maybe Deborah Hill talk about that. Like, I wish she was still with us because I feel she would be a hell of a lot more insightful nowadays than John is. But, that was interesting when I read about it because I dismissed it at first. But as I read more into it and looked at it and watched the movie from that perspective, I was like, I really don't argue that. So that was pretty cool to read about.
Can we discuss all the fan theories or fan angles on who taught Michael Myers to drive?
I know that is also very good. Plus,
it comes in waves, you guys. It comes in waves. It's like every, I don't know how many months or a year, and people are like, wait, stop the presses. Who taught Michael Myers to drive? And then everyone has their own theories and ideas on how and why he could drive.
In Halloween 6, you learned that it was a cult the whole time. So that son of a gun was teaching a little kid, get behind the wheel, kid. Because when you run my cult, I need you to get behind that damn station wagon and peel off because you're going to have to chase that broad out of the hospital late at night on a stormy road. You got to know how to drive, kid. Let's go.
But if it's a choose your own adventure, then maybe that didn't, it depends. Halloween is a choose your own adventure. So
it's not that difficult to drive. Number one, I mean, there's a lot of really dumb people out there who can drive. So I mean, it's not like, it requires a lot of skill, but I mean,
however, in the days before GPS, an hour drive back to town might be an issue.
Following up on that, this is kind of a weird question, but whenever people say something like, Halloween, oh, it's a perfect movie. But when you talk about little things like that, I mean, does it ever, whenever you say that stuff, do you ever stop and really think to yourself, because I don't think it's a perfect movie. I mean, I love it, but I don't hold no bones about it. But like, what do people mean when they say it's a perfect movie? Is it just the way it makes them feel, or do you really think like they overlook that kind of stuff as well? I always,
I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, let's face it, you can put that on anything, something that you love that's a tangible item, your dog, your mate, whoever you're with or whatever, right? Everybody's flawed. Everything is flawed. Nothing is absolutely perfect. But if you really love and care about that person, that animal, that thing, or whatever, you're going to overlook that, or you're going to be like, oh, but that's what makes it cool because they screwed up this or that, or what, there's one leaf in this scene, and it's supposed to be fall. People are going to, because they have an affinity for it, they're just going to wrap their arms around everything, even if it is completely flawed, and say it's perfect because it's perfect to them. You know what I mean? That's my answer, and I'm sticking to it. I said what I said.
The driving thing's never been a bone of contention for me with that movie. Just like, he drove, he got behind the wheel, and he figured it out, or somebody really taught him. They gave him like a paper plate for the wheel. And like they put like so you turn the wheel this way, Michael. This lever accelerate. This lever makes it go. This lever makes it stop, and make sure it's in D.
I would have liked to seen him like going like this down the road, like figuring out.
Was it a stick shift? That's
it was automatic.
It's automatic because you see the it's on the top of the wheel. But but that's not how you watch these movies.
No.
They're meant to be in the same tradition as the urban legends and the campfire stories, and that's what the good directors have always embraced. Is what's important isn't the hows and the whys. It's the moment. It's how it makes you feel. It's about that rising tension from a particularly well shot suspense sequence, which there's a ton of in Halloween. Which honestly, I mean, I don't want to talk Halloween, but I miss. No. If you watch if you watch the original Halloween, it is basically a suspense film.
Yeah.
It has a low body count. It's not about the kills. It's not about creative kills. It's not about gory kills. It's really the suspense piece which slowly ratchets up. Even the score starts out thunderously slow, and by the end is screaming along. It's a really well-made film in every regard, except for logic. And that's not even the only logic problem. I don't want to go through the list. Halloween is not written for logic. It's written so we get the maniac from the insane asylum to the teenage girls babysitting. That's what's important. And that's how we digested it when we first saw it. We weren't worried about the nonsense because the film's not worried about the nonsense. But the problem is the film was not made to be watched 35 times in your life or 80 times in your life. We've all been dumb enough to do that.
About these movies, so it's like they give us these wonderful feelings, and we can't help but watch them over and over and over, and so then eventually will lead us.
Sabotages them.
Eventually, it will lead us to hyper focus on these things and construct our own fan theories. So it's kind of cool.
I've got another fan theory.
Back around.
You can take leaps of faith when it comes to little things like that, as long as they don't, like they're stupid. They're not going to pay attention to this. You know what I mean? So as long as they don't, as long as the filmmakers aren't trying to treat you like an idiot, sure. He learned how to drive. That's cool. Just I'll believe that the same that I'll believe that he took 6 slugs to the chest, fell out of a second floor window, got up and walked away.
Yeah.
All is forgiven if we get to see him try and program the GPS in Halloween films.
Yeah.
Oh, I want that. That would be great.
He's like typing in. He just LAUR. It's like
Loomis is the voice.
Ooh.
Boom. There you go, guys.
All right, Piz, here's a fan theory.
Sure.
Loomis did shoot him 6 times, but we're supposed to hear the extra shot. Before Mr. Elrod fell asleep, he heard a bunch of ruckus, so he opened up his window and took a warning shot to get whoever it was to shut up. So that's where the 7th shot is coming from.
I believe it.
I'm trying to sleep, damn it. What?
I believe it.
I don't even want this sandwich anymore.
Yeah. Honey, make me a damn ham sandwich and fire the gun out of the window. A warning shot. Damn kids need to shut up. Simon, thank you for the additional £4.49 super chat. My fan theory is in Predator, Mac and Blaine were lovers. When Mac says to Dutch, he was my friend, Dutch turns to him and Mac just looks down. They kind of took that theory and ran with it in the last Predator movie because
Oh yeah, Thomas Jane and the other guy.
Thomas Jane and geez. Key.
Peel. Yeah.
Peel. P.
Yeah.
Or
No,
not
Key,
Peel.
not Peel.
Keegan.
No.
Keegan. Yeah.
P Peel P.
They were more than just friends in that movie. So
Oh, yeah.
the guy who directed that movie wrote he really wrote Predator. But anyway, he knew what was going on. He knew what was up. That's a valid fan theory. You got two guys who've been through a lot together. They've saved each other's lives. They've been through a lot together.
Things happen in the jungle.
Things happen in the jungle. Will you
Sometimes they bring you to your knees.
It's like, Mac, will you rub some of this mosquito repellent on my back? Sure. And then just you know what I mean? That's how it starts.
Thomas Jane stole the show in that last Predator movie.
He was good. He was very good.
He's good in most things that I've seen him in. I don't.
Yeah.
If that last film had been made at a different time, I don't think we'd have as bad of an opinion of it as we do. It just feels very much like the time it was made, and that's kind of obnoxious.
They needed to take the autistic kid out of it because that was ridiculous. Not every autistic kid is Rain Man. Not every autistic kid apologizes to his father for being autistic. That doesn't happen. They needed that angle should have been removed. It should have been all about the people on the bus. Even take the one guy out of it because he was just bland and horrible. Just the guys on the bus versus the Predator. That would have been a good movie.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That would have been a good movie.
Most stuff. I need to go back and watch that.
Totally random thought.
There's a good film somewhere in it if they would have recut the film. It's just
I've never hated it. Totally random thought that Christian inspired during all of this. How have we not had National Lampoon's Halloween Vacation?
Yeah.
At this point.
I just realized that, like, you bring that up and like, wait, Halloween Vacation is a thing you can have? I'm an adult and I didn't even think about this.
Sure, go to a bunch of different haunts. I've done that before. You can
Cousin
have a
Eddie.
National Lampoon's Haunted Halloween.
Cousin Eddie would totally get the best of Michael Myers. Cousin Eddie
Oh,
would just
that would be so
destroy Michael Myers.
Didn't they do like a haunted
would be
Halloween
so
movie
funny.
or something like that not long ago? Like the Wayans did like a haunted Halloween kind of
Haunted
thing.
House. Yeah, I know. Which I think it was Haunted House. They did two of them. But
yeah,
I'd rather. Yeah, I don't know. Eddie kills him, dumps him, shitter's full, walks out. Right, just into the sunset. Boom. Michael Myers. There you go. The future of the franchise, guys.
But see, the shitter is full of body parts. That's where he keeps the body.
Is that how the opening to the sitcom ends for Region Free? Shitter's full?
Sure.
Yes.
Randy Quaid is crazier than Michael Myers. I think
for sure.
Yes.
he would take him out.
Oh my goodness.
Wouldn't even be a battle.
Lauren, you've got a topic for us tonight. What you got, man?
Sure. So, I mean, if you go back to the beginning of the genre on film, you have Nosferatu, Dracula, the Mummy, all these singular monsters that represented the concerns of the society at like that time. When the monsters were defeated in the end, it gave the audience this kind of release from their real world anxieties. And it was that way for a long time, all through the decades. The Thing from Another World, Norman Bates, straight through Jason, Freddy, all those icons. You kind of have all these singular monsters versus everyone else. And that was the template because those monsters represented something and they were kind of an avatar for a concern or a fear at the time. But occasionally and rarely, there'd be a wider concern that would require more than just a solitary monster. Invasion of the Body Snatchers and Night of the Living Dead come to mind just immediately. You couldn't have just a single monster represent what those films were about. So suddenly we had basically society was the monster in a coded form versus a small insulated group of people trying to survive inside of it. But generally speaking, that was the like mirror obverse of the common structure of the horror genre. As we came to the late 90s and early 2000s, though, the lone monsters started becoming less and less prevalent. Scream gave us 2 killers, and that was really kind of a weird turning point, because even though it was just 2 slashers, it was still a surprise, because apparently no one had ever seen Tenebrae. The whatever. The Final Destination films and the Conjuring universes, they further decentralized the villain roles into kind of abstractions, whereas you didn't even have something to fight necessarily. It was just something you had to deal with or confront in kind of an abstract way. Now, you could say that Poltergeist did this as well back in '82, but how quickly did Poltergeist 2 rush to give us Reverend Cain to have that figure that represented the evil? But not so in the 2000s. I mean, who's the central villain of the Hostel films? How many apprentices were there in the Saw films? Does anyone have a count offhand? With the release of the Japanese film Battle Royale in the year 2000, it seemed like there was no going back to how it had been. The lonely slasher now is kind of a throwback, a nostalgia play, almost a romantic figure of an earlier time. Here's a list of the major horror films released in the year 2020. Antebellum, Fantasy Island, The Grudge, The Hunt, Peninsula, The Turning, Underwater. Only The Invisible Man and The Rental really have a central villain, and both of those, incidentally, are mainly off-screen threats. So why is this? Why have we turned this corner from the solitary villain as the focus of the genre's best-known works? Because certainly you can pick me apart in this argument by finding the minor film or the weird obscurity or something from some corner of the earth that I watch, but you probably don't. Why have we turned towards greater society as the villain of most of our horror films?
Because greater society is the villain.
I think maybe it's because we've grown apart as people, right? We no longer fear just one of our neighbors. It's not that
we
guy.
fear everybody.
Yeah, it's not that one guy who lives down by the river in the abandoned school bus that we're worried about anymore. We're worried about wide swaths of society. How you can go on Twitter and within half a second find someone decrying millions of people.
Hello.
Right? Chastising them for what they believe or where they come from or what they or who they voted for or just something they said in passing.
What's that?
And that's kind of where we're at. So it's not enough to have a Dracula to represent the old world aristocracy or Count Zaroff to represent post-industrialized American classism. You know, today we're compelled to just cast this wide net of distrust. That's where our current anxieties lie. And that is kind of where we're at and where I think we're stuck for the foreseeable future. We talked about Malignant at the beginning of the episode, and that might be the best example that today, even your villain can't be totally on his own.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I guess welcome to the Purge generation.
That's I mean that's an interesting. I mean you're right on. Yeah. I think that might have been one of the things that I also really liked about The Last Matinee, was that it was you there's your villain. You know who the villain is. You know,
it's rare.
I mean, yeah. Child's Play, we still have Chucky and Tiffany, and I mean, I love Tiffany, but yeah, it's it's no longer just one killer.
Mm-hmm. We've got Michael and Dr. Sartain now.
I hope you're ready for more.
I'm still bitter.
Dr. Sartain.
I'm still bitter about Sartain. Still bitter. I just why? Why?
I'm just a little upset you didn't word zeitgeist into your speech.
Yeah,
I was absolutely trying to avoid it.
There we go. I said it for you.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, we were talking about Texas Chainsaw 2 earlier, and I was actually watching that before we started the stream. And the themes of the 74 version was backwoods inbred cannibals. The 80s version was big city capitalists, you know. I mean, so we lose that message today for a different message with a whole different kind of villain.
There's a reason that Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw 3D had to be an anti-hero, right?
Yeah.
Because they isolated him as a character, so he couldn't be the big bad anymore. We had to make the town the bad, right? The sheriff and his minions. So yeah, I think there's definitely something to be said about how distrustful we are as people and how good a job the horror genre continues to do about reflecting where we're at. Which I know a lot of people get very cynical when I say things like that, but the proof is in the pudding. It does a better job than any other genre of telling you where we are as a people.
I think The Hunt is a good example of a where we are now kind of movie. There's a couple of Purge movies that I think were close to nailing that. I think they've kind of got away from that at this point, being a reflection of society. But yeah,
I think await further instructions is definitely something that needs to come back around for people to appreciate, given our current climate.
Oh, I love that movie.
It is so good.
Yeah,
I adore it.
David Bradley is so good in that one.
That was an impromptu podcast I did with a friend of mine because he was coming over, or we met up to do one. And then we were talking about it, and he's like, "Oh, you want to talk about that one?" I'm like, "Sure, we can do a double." And that was the night I got so drunk. Like, I came home, and then at the time, I wasn't married yet, but Chris was asking me if I was okay because I had just gone into I was just like kind of stumbling around. I go into the bathroom, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine," and then thud. And it's like, oh. But it was so it's like that recording. Sometimes I go back and listen to it, and I was sloshed. But it was like one of the best conversations I've had.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not advocating anybody do this. Please don't.
Add that to your list, guys. It's on Blu-ray too. That's a great movie.
It is fantastic though. It was one of the it was like a breath of fresh air at the time, which was like, I guess it came out 2018. I think.
It used to be on Amazon Prime. I think free if you were a Prime member. I don't know if it still is, but it used to be. So,
yeah. Good winter, actually Christmas movie technically.
It is a Christmas movie. Yeah. It does take place at Christmas.
Yeah.
I want to continue my series, franchises that should just stop, but I'll make it quick because we've gone over the 2-hour mark. The franchise that should just stop is actually a franchise that's not started yet, but it's going to happen. The new Indiana Jones movie is basically existing simply because it can pass the torch to Indy's daughter, so we can have female Indiana Jones movies, which weren't those Tomb Raider movies basically female Indiana Jones movies? Because there were 3 of those, and it was based on a popular video game series. So whenever this new female Indiana Jones comes out, of course, those movies will not have ever existed, and it'll be brave and new and innovative and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, the only reason this new Indiana Jones movie exists is because they're going to pass the torch. But Harrison Ford got hurt on the set, an injury which required shoulder surgery. And on top of that, recently, shooting is now, quote unquote, in jeopardy because up to 50 people had to be sent home from Pinewood Studios following an outbreak of norovirus, aka the winter vomiting bug. If that's not a sign from God, I don't know what is. God wants you to stop this movie.
I was with you right up to that.
But I mean, the whole purpose of this entire film is to pass the torch for a female Indiana Jones movie in the future. And it's already cost Harrison Ford his shoulder, and upwards of 50 people have been are sick with something called norovirus now. I've never even heard of that. But just stop it. Just stop it.
He's just gonna have to just shoot his way through the whole movie at this point. Just cut all the fight scenes. He's just gonna just bang, bang, bang right to the end because it's too old.
Yeah. It's flabbergasting. But just do the female Indiana Jones movie and leave. Let Indy go. Let Indy go.
Or do something that's not female Indiana Jones. Like, we don't need to do the gender swap. That's just tokenization all in a different sphere.
Yeah.
I don't need it.
Yeah. And dusting off this franchise that didn't need another installment just for those purposes. Oh, it's just God, just let it go. Let it go.
But I mean, he already has a son. I'm not gonna allow myself to think about this. It's not worth it.
Don't think about it. Don't think about it. When that movie is eventually released in tanks, we'll all be blamed for it. We'll all be called ists and phobes. So
that's fine. I don't care.
We can look forward to that whenever it happens.
I hope they spend a ton of money on it. I hope they just pour money on it. I don't care. It's not my money. Spend away.
Light it on fire.
Spend it.
Yeah. But just let Indy's days are behind him. I don't think anybody wanted the Crystal Skull, but they were like, "Oh, cool, nostalgia, cool." Then they watched the Crystal Skull and they were like, "No, okay, we'll just pretend this one doesn't exist, and all those other ones are great. We'll just focus on those."
Exactly.
So, anyway, another franchise that should just stop, Indiana Jones. So, yeah. All right, cool. This has been a fun show. A lot of interesting discussion tonight. Again, I want to applaud Sam for her new segment, Sam Slams. I think it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible, Sam.
I'll bring my pods next time. It'll be better.
Do it. Bring it. Let's do some shout outs here. Shout out to the Daily Ghost for the $10 super chat. Shout out to Laundry Art for the $50 super chat. Very kind and generous of you, sir. And shout out to Simon Morris for the 2 £4.49 super chats. Very kind of you also. Let's see who was still with us tonight. We've got Cliff Booth. We got Big Crack Rock in the chat. Entertainment Wizard, Grunger, Robert Long, Ross Jordan, First Power 100, Ben Grimm, Darren Burrows. Jamie was in the chat earlier. Jamie, hope you're continuing to feel better. Paul, Dr. CZ Death. Great name.
That's Mr. Sam.
Oh, that's Mr. Sam.
Indeed.
Okay. We know who wears the pants in that family.
Your leopard print today.
My God! Wait.
There are no pants being worn in that family.
What?
Wait.
Look at that.
Oh, I can't lift my leg up this high.
Twins.
Yep, there it is.
Country
Lauren,
boy
you're
life.
next. Let's go in
Camo,
order.
baby.
Come on. Come on, Lauren.
I would have to be wearing pants for that to happen.
and I still can't stand up. So
Visited by Viagra.
Yeah. If the stream lasts longer than 4 hours, consult a physician.
Privatism.
There you go. I see Nick, the Lost River Drive-Ins in the chat. Thank you for hanging out with us. My buddy Chris from Germany. Thank you. And so let's Sam, where can we find you on the wonderful internet?
Well, if you're on Twitter, I'm at Shibi_GBs. I post a lot of political stuff. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. I'm more active, though, on Visited by Voices, where Lauren makes me behave myself. So go check out YouTube over there. And then I've also got a YouTube channel, which is Sheeby Jeebies. Search for it, I'll pop right up. I'm kind of getting back into doing videos again. Just, it's a time thing, you know. But now it's all spooky season time, so I've kind of like been really spoiled from streaming so much with Lauren, and then also joining you on here, and then hanging out with Stone and you, Susan, and Jamie, and like we had a great Return to Oz stream. But the thing is, I got so used to streaming now, it's like I get itchy if I don't do it. So
you're addicted.
I am, and I already had an addictive personality. This isn't helping.
Well, you can stream on your own channel whenever you want.
I know, it's great.
Do those like 24-hour streams?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But, I'm most active on Twitter and YouTube. If you have Facebook, I'm there, Saint Jeebies, and then Instagram is Sheeby_Jeebies.
Very cool. Dan, where can we find Flesh Wound Features?
Easy. Flesh Wound Features here on YouTube. We are getting ready for October. We will have content, at least one video every day in October, if not two. We have our /Tober tournament that's going to be starting up again, and that'll be a lot of fun, so follow along. Also, if you're at least 18, tomorrow you can watch me on S'mores Indoors with Corey, Jonathan, and we will be joined by Marie Posa and Seymour Butts. So hopefully...
I don't think that's his Christian name. I could be wrong.
AKA Adam Glazer, yes.
Why do I have to be 18?
Well,
Seymour Butts.
Yeah.
Is Seymour Butts going to be nude on this stream?
He won't be nude on
is
the
this
stream.
Is this streaming on Pornhub or something?
Well, maybe. I'm going to talk Corey into that. That might be coming, but yeah. No pun intended.
Wow. Oh, you guys are getting blue over there. I don't know. What's going on. Some character named Seymour Butts?
Family Business. It was a Showtime series. It was really, and he did some other stuff too, but yeah.
What is his business? I'm not following.
He makes films for adults.
Oh, you mean like R-rated films?
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
A few more X's on the end, but yes.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that kind of cinema.
Dan, will Wayne Kerr be popping in?
Absolutely, yes.
oh my God, I can't.
I don't know who that.
We're all
I don't know.
here.
Come on, everybody knows Seymour Butts. Anybody in the chat is full of it if they don't know who that is. So. Yeah.
I don't know these strange names. I don't know them. Susan, where can we find you online?
I'm Horror Gal Susan pretty much everywhere. YouTube, Instagram. Instagram is probably where I'm most active. Twitter, Letterboxd, Gmail, Snapchat. Even though I don't really use that much anymore. I don't know, most all the platforms, just I'm Horror Gal Susan. And like Sam said, really having like a blast doing live streams with you guys, with Lauren on Visited by Voices, doing the commentary on Stone's channel was a blast. So I'm out and about, but I haven't made as many videos as I should by now. I'm not even going to say time. I'm just going to blame it on the weather. When it's like 103 degrees every day, I just can't sit in front of a camera when I'm so uncomfortable. So hopefully in the next few days, maybe I'll get back on the horse. We'll see. But normally, if it's better weather, I post videos like once a week. Yep.
Cool. Very cool. Christian, where can we find you?
My address is
not your physical address. We don't share that.
42 Evergreen Terrace.
My trailer park name is Christian Hanna Horror on YouTube, movie reviews, stuff like that, podcast episodes on Sunday. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. I have a Facebook, but I don't really use it. I just kind of spy on people. So hit me up on Instagram. That's where I'm the most active. I'm on Twitter. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Where can we find everything related to Lorne, Visited by Voices, and everything Visited by Voices related?
Everything? We don't have time. But Visited by Voices 1 on YouTube, of course, at Lauren Dixon on the Twitter. You could do me a big favor, everyone out there, if you could actually follow my new publisher, Fractured Mirror. They could use a lot more followers and have the word spread about all their titles, not just my upcoming October 2022 release of Divide by Zero. Tomorrow on the Visited by Voices, tomorrow's Friday, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Cool. Tomorrow on Visited by Voices at 8 p.m. Eastern, we will be sitting down with writer Amy Gretsch and just spinning the horror web as usual. And then there'll be a very special show next week. I'm not ready to announce it. It'll be pre-recorded. It won't be live, but it will be an exciting one for all, I promise you. But I do want to take just a moment. Earlier we ragged on Christian pretty hard. I got it, just in all honesty. Christian is just one of the most amazing people I've ever met. Christian doesn't just put out this great content that you all have enjoyed. He doesn't just remain a friend and always have a kind word, which he does, which is just something I'll never live up to. But he's also an incredibly talented musician who doesn't pimp out his music at every stop, and should, because he's amazing, both as a solo artist and as a member of a band. All of you really should just search out everything he does and consume it and show the love to him, because Christian puts out a lot of great material, and anyone who's ever created anyone knows it's an uphill battle to get people to see the value. Christian's the real deal. So show Christian some goddamn love, even as I'm yelling obscenities at him.
Thank you.
So wait, before you do that, Christian, did you have something recently come out?
Oh, my band's name is Cold Canyons, and we have a lot of songs available already on Spotify, iTunes, and all that. We just dropped a new single called Sail With Me, and we're working on more material right now to record. So check us out, Cold Canyons. We're pretty good.
They do the sickest Limp Bizkit covers too.
They don't.
Sickest.
They're a better band than Limp Bizkit ever was.
You need to. Now you're crossing the line there. You don't
I'll cross that line.
Don't patronize Christian.
If you have if you have grid paper that you play your Dungeons and Dragons on, I will cross every line that you could possibly write to promote Christian's band over Limp Bizkit. Jesus Christ.
Oh man,
Because you're gonna make Lauren use all of his emotions up.
I know.
Absolutely. And I only have 5, so
I know.
The passion. I like it. I will say this about Christian. I think the total opposite. I think he's fake. I think he's phony.
Oh my God.
No, Christian is a very talented musician. That is true. I've listened to several of Christian's tracks with Cold Canyons on their Facebook page, and and Christian's done a lot of music that I've used on my channel. Some really cool covers. So yeah, definitely. And I mean, our opening and closing song is Christian, all Christian. So yes. I mean, yeah.
There you go, people.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
Do it.
Get it.
Do it now, before you forget, because you're all close to geriatric and forget things all the time. So do it now.
Lauren, I think you might be close to the oldest. I don't know.
I am the oldest person here. There's no question about it. And I definitely have cognitive issues.
But I will.
19-year-old age.
Yeah.
I will be streaming with Jamie Blanks tomorrow night, beginning at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that should be fun. Just going to be shooting the bull, talking horror. I'll have the invite link available if anybody wants to jump on and shoot the bull with us. That'll be made available. And just got some new reviews and stuff coming out in the near future. So keep your eyes peeled for all that good stuff. So, but thanks again for joining us tonight. This has been really fun, and we'll see you again in the near future. Until then, take care brush your hair.
Hey,
be safe. Stay healthy. I'm just trying to stall until I find the outro. Here it is. Okay. Peace.